Hello gold farmers, welcome to another Gold Nut farming video. Today we'll be taking a look at one of my recent Akunda by routes. I'd actually made this one yesterday, and the main reason why I had made it was because WTBGold was asking his viewers to show him a better route for the Akunda Bite if they know of one or could find one, and I was able to find one. So hopefully if WTBGold sees this, then this is a really good route in my opinion. I have tried to look for a better route. It actually took me about 5 hours to find this route, which is a little bit longer of a time for me to find a route than it usually takes me to find routes, but he did kind of give me a goal to set towards for finding this route, and that was 100 of the Akunda's Bite in less than 21 minutes, which that really wasn't the goal that I had set, or that he had set for me. He kind of got me to thinking that maybe I could find a route that yields over 100 of the Akunda's Bite in 10 minutes. And that I did. It is a bit of a risky 10 minutes, it just depends on your competition. And if you are for some reason unlucky and get a lot more of the star moss and Siren's pollen to spawn around where your Akunda Bite spawn, because I have noticed that usually you get star moss or Siren's pollen to spawn in the locations of which all three herbs are able to spawn relatively close to each other. So I don't know how all of that really works. That's just what I've noticed. Outside of that, the quickest time I have been able to collect 100 of the Akunda's Bite is 7.5 minutes. A lot of that was because when I had started about here when I was doing all of that, because I tested this route several times to see just for sure whether or not I could get the 100 Akunda's Bite in less than 10 minutes, and I was able to do it a couple of times. A lot of those times, or actually a lot of the times that I wasn't able to, was due to high competition. I had ended up switching over to my fiance's server to see if that made a little bit of a difference, and it did. There wasn't as much competition, and unfortunately every route right now in BFA is going to hold some kind of competition, so I wouldn't necessarily say that you can collect 100 of the Akunda's Bite in 10 minutes. It might take you a little bit longer, it might take you less time, but I would aim for maybe 100 of the Akunda's Bite in maybe 10 to 12 minutes. If competition is extremely bad, then I would highly recommend trying to just kind of farm this route here. You just kind of go back and forth, or if that's really not enough for you and there's still too much competition, then I would just kind of recommend that you hold off on farming the Akunda's Bite for the time being, because at that time you're kind of wasting time if you are taking a long time to get the Akunda's Bite. With all of that being said, that means you should be able to get roughly 600 of the Akunda's Bite in an hour. Star moss, you should be able to get roughly a full stack of it in an hour, and same with Siren's pollen. So you're getting roughly 100 herbs, or 1,000 herbs per hour, which is really good. Another thing to mention about this location is it is really good for anchorweed. Actually, I've been able to collect about 50 of the anchorweed after I found this route, which isn't necessarily that great, but when you take in consideration the amount of gold that you're selling Akunda's Bite for, which the average price for Akunda's Bite is about 27 gold, and factor in the average 200 gold for anchorweed, you are making quite a bit of gold off of this route. The other herbs, you're kind of lucky if you can get any more than 10 gold off of them, but that's just kind of whatever, I suppose. Anyways, I do recommend that you use the enchant for your gloves that reduces your gather time for herbs. And I also recommend that you use any kind of item that allows you to run around mobs without getting dismounted. If you are a tank, you can go into tank spec and that works just as well. I am currently running in a guardian druid, and the hardest thing I have is right clicking the mob and dismounting that way. I do believe that will be all, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content.